going live on YouTube now. Right, just wanted to check for the people those who have connected now. Is my audio video clear? Is my audio video clear? If it is clear, just write clear in the chat box. Right, wanted an external confirmation from all of you guys. फटाफट बता दीजिए ना, बता दीजिए. Is my audio video clear, guys? Is my audio video clear? If it is clear, request all of you to put a clear in the chat box, especially also the people those who are connected from YouTube. YouTube की जनता जो है बता दीजिए. Is my audio video clear? Right, is my audio video clear? Right, जो YouTube पे कनेक्टेड है और जो Zoom पे कनेक्टेड है, डेफिनेटली यू कैन कॉल योर फ्रेंड्स आउट. राइट, आपने दोस्तों को बुलाइए जो कनेक्टेड है और जो इस कैंपस के लिए, ऑफ कैंपस के लिए आर गोना बी अप्लाइंग फॉर दिस रोल. राइट, यस, गॉट इट. YouTube के कंफर्मेशन के लिए वेट कर रहा हूँ. बहुत बढ़िया. समवन हैव फ्रॉम YouTube हैव गिवन मी द कंफर्मेशन. द ऑडियो वीडियो इज क्लियर. थैंक्स बडी. राइट, सो वन ऑफ द डोमेन वेयर लॉट ऑफ चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट्स आर हायर्ड दिस डेज, which is towards the SAP, Oracle, Dynamics 365, where a lot of people are going to be hired for a software side role. But the problem is that कि हमें ज्यादातर पता नहीं होता है, right, कि what this role is all about. Who should get into this role? Sir, SAP consulting करना है, SAP consulting में जाना है, but what this role is going to be offering me? Sir, I got shortlisted in campus for a few of the companies. They are saying SAP consulting, Oracle consulting. In fact, a lot of big fours have also started shortlisting for this roles, right? But just wanted to know how many of you have heard about this role, by the way, before? कुछ लोग ने सुना है क्या, या have done some research? You have heard about this roles, right? अच्छा सर, सुना है इसलिए तो सेशन में आए हैं. सर क्या सवाल पूछ लिया. सुना नहीं होता तो आते भी नहीं हम सेशन के लिए. But yes, trust me guys, this is a future. Every time I talk about a technology, this is a future out. And to discuss these things, right, we have one of our mentor who have been associated with CMOG for almost a year, and luckily I got a chance to meet him in Nagpur meetup, right? So I would request all the people those who are connected on the Zoom to turn on the videos. एक बार वीडियोस ऑन करके मेंटर का हम जोरदार तालियों के साथ स्वागत करेंगे. पहले सब वीडियो ऑन कर ले, सभी वीडियो ऑन कर ले आज. नहीं, आप वीडियो ऑन कीजिए पहले, और मेंटर का हम जोरदार तालियों के साथ स्वागत करेंगे. और जो यूट्यूब पे कनेक्टेड है, आप वर्चुअल क्लैप्स देंगे, राइट? मैं सबको अनम्यूट कर रहा हूँ, जोरदार तालियों के साथ स्वागत करें. आज नागपुर तक की आवाज पहुंच जानी चाहिए, राइट? जोरदार तालियों के साथ पुष्कर भाई का स्वागत करेंगे. वेलकम पुष्कर फॉर द सेशन आउट.
वेलकम सर. यस, थैंक यू एवरीबॉडी. नाउ पास्ट में तो बहुत जी लिया, प्रेजेंट में
एक सेकंड ना पुष्कर भाई, सो सॉरी, आई जस्ट म्यूटेड एवरीवन so that वो chaos ना हो. Yes, Pushkar bhai, the floor is all yours, right? So just a small brief about him, right? Pushkar is he is working with Accenture for almost 2.5 odd years now, right? Having a good exposure into this domain, right? And I insisted him when I met him in a Nagpur meetup, saying that यार ये domain के बारे में बताओ. And in fact, I was very curious about listening to that domain out, and I also learned a lot of things about this domain out. So I would request Pushkar to brief the students out in and out what this domain is all about, what is the growth trajectory, who should get into this domain, what are the exit options available, and paisa kitna milega. Definitely he's going to be talking about that. Is the prerequisite of the session out. But yes, really thank you Pushkar for joining in. Yes,
thank you Shivam. Hi everyone. जस्ट बिफोर स्टार्टिंग मैं जस्ट इतना कहना चाहूंगा कि पास्ट में तो बहुत जी लिया, प्रेजेंट में भी जी रहे. अब देखना है, सिर्फ आगे देखना है, फ्यूचर का देखना है. और बेसिकली आज से शुरुआत करेंगे, तब आगे जाके कुछ बड़ा बनाएंगे. सो लेट अस स्टार्ट. सो बेसिकली लेट अस बी दैट जनरेशन दैट लुक्स टुवर्ड्स द फ्यूचर रादर देन हु लिव्स इन द पास्ट.
Great.
Okay, so I actually have a deck prepared for all of you. So Shivam, please let me know if I can share my screen, if I have the rights.
Yes, you can do that.
Okay, yeah, thanks. So just a second, I'll share my screen and just let me know once it is visible.
Perfect. Yeah, it's visible.
Yes, okay. Okay, so basically what we'll do is, just for understanding purpose and the connect purpose, we'll communicate in English as well as Hindi. So sometimes I'll continue in English and other times I'll include a bit of Hindi also, so that बहुत ज़्यादा formal नहीं, थोड़ा घर वाला ऐसा लगे कि चलो भाई बड़ा भाई explain कर रहा है, वैसा लगे. And okay, so basically so this is really not a new profile. ये प्रोफाइल पिछले 20 साल 25 साल से है, बट द थिंग इज कि इसके बारे में किसी को अवेयरनेस नहीं था. सो इट वाज कंसिडर्ड एज अ प्रोफाइल फॉर टेक पीपल विद टेक्निकल बैकग्राउंड, जैसे इंजीनियर्स हो गए, या फिर इंजीनियर्स हु हैव गॉन इनटू एमबीए एंड दे आर इंटरेस्टेड इनटू कंसल्टिंग. बट over the time what happened is all the organizations and all, they all realized, and also our curriculum evolved. Our CA curriculum also evolved, that with they saying that okay, चलो कि अगर बिजनेस डिसीजंस लेना है या फिर बिजनेस प्रोसेस डिसीजंस लेना है, तो who can be a better person, a person with a technical background or a person with a functional background, who knows the entire process, who has actually practically worked in the entire process of accounting, auditing, say sales, production, and all those things. So as chartered accountants or as cost accountants also, so the importance with the evolution of technology and the importance of business decisions, so this profile was introduced to us as business professionals. So brief. So this. So I'm going to brief you about SAP consultancy, and we'll be going. We'll be having a proper deep dive of it. So nothing to worry about that. And here I have mentioned just my current designation, that I am a SAP senior analyst, or as Accenture calls it, business and integration architecture senior analyst at Accenture. And I have also mentioned my email ID for communication, and my LinkedIn ID also. So also, if you want a proper session with me, you can also book through the CA Monk website. So in the mentors itself, I am already listed there with my profile. So you can also book a one-to-one session. So today we are going to cover the basic overview of SAP. कि SAP exactly है क्या. हमने टैली के बारे में सुना, हमने क्विक बुक्स के बारे में सुना, ओरेकल के बारे में सुना, हमने SAP के बारे में भी सुना है. मतलब सुनने में तो अच्छा लगा पर कुछ समझ में नहीं आया. तो अभी हम वो समझेंगे कि SAP exactly है क्या. And also we'll be going through the organizations that recruit professionals for SAP consultancy, and some domain specific capabilities that are required, and the scope of work that we as chartered accountants are going to do as a SAP FICO consultants, and also why this profile, that is we'll be looking to at the present also and the future prospects also, and finally at the last, compensation and role offered to CA freshers. तो बेसिकली पैसे के बारे में भी पता चलेगा, और टेंशन नहीं लेना, बहुत पैसा है इसमें. बोलते हैं ना कि मजा आ जाएगा, पर 25 दिन में पैसा डबल तो नहीं होगा. खुद का टाइम, एफर्ट, रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज इन्वेस्ट करना पड़ेगा, बट रिटर्न ऑन इन्वेस्टमेंट एकदम तगड़ा है, और एकदम ये लॉन्ग टर्म गेम है. ओके, चलो. सो बेसिकली फर्स्ट थिंग की बेसिक ओवरव्यू ऑफ एसएपी. तो एसएपी इज बेसिकली एज एन ईआरपी. तो assuming like we as chartered accountants, we definitely know what an ERP is, what an enterprise resource planning software is, where all the business functions are integrated together under a single umbrella. For example, कोई भी multinational company हो जिसके multiple lines of business है, for example production है, और प्रोडक्शन में भी काम करते हैं, सर्विस में भी काम करते हैं, या फिर अलग ऐसे प्रॉपर स्ट्रेटेजिक बिजनेस यूनिट्स जो है वो है, तो उसमें everything is properly divided and segregated onto a granular level. So that is basically an ERP. So SAP is an ERP. तो इसको the first thing which everyone like gets it wrong is कि भले ही SAP is called as SAP, इसको कभी भी SAP नहीं बोलना. अगर SAP बोला इंटरव्यू में जाके, तो सबसे पहले इंटरव्यूअर आपको वही क्वेश्चन में वो जज कर लिया कि अरे ये क्या बोल दिया. तो SAP, the full form of SAP is System Applications and Products. This company was founded in 1972 in Waldorf, Germany, and it is a enterprise resource planning software. And the first version SAP का जो जन्म था सबसे पहला, the software name was called as SAP R1. R1 simply मतलब first release. It was released in 1973, and the latest version released is SAP S4HANA 2022. And it was released in October 22. So SAP is a software which is available on premise also and on cloud also. On premise मतलब क्या कि जो consultants आएंगे वो आपके सर्वर पे वो इंस्टॉल करके जाएंगे। जैसे हम टैली का इंस्टॉल करते हैं ना, सेटअप डाउनलोड करते हैं और फिर उसमें इंस्टॉल करते हैं, अग्री, टर्म्स एंड कंडीशंस अग्री करके वी इंस्टॉल इट एंड स्टार्ट यूजिंग इट। सो दैट इज कॉल्ड एज ऑन प्रेमाइज क्लाउड। मतलब यू आर द सॉफ्टवेयर वुड बी इंस्टॉल्ड ऑन क्लाउड। जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल amazon वेब सर्विसेज हो गया, या गूगल क्लाउड हो गया, माइक्रोसॉफ्ट अजोर हो गया। So these are some specific cloud softwares that are used. And the markets operated in SAP is basically used globally. So SAP is a global player. This ERP is used almost worldwide. Say more than 150 odd countries have used SAP. So it is one of the market leaders along with Oracle. And and slowly and steadily SAP is also moving टुवर्ड्स अ काइंड ऑफ अ मोनोपोली, कि यहाँ पे इनका मार्केट शेयर सबसे ज्यादा होने वाला है इन द कमिंग ईयर्स। एंड द डिप्लॉयमेंट अवेलेबल, आई ऑलरेडी टोल्ड यू दैट इट कैन बी ऑन प्रेमाइस ऑल्सो एंड ऑन क्लाउड ऑल्सो। एंड द वर्जन हिस्ट्री, जैसे कि ऐसे भी बड़ा कैसे हुआ। बचपन में तो ठीक है, हमको पता चल गया, बचपन में उसको R1 बोलते थे और अभी उसको S4 हाना 2022 बोलते हैं। तो पर ये बचपन से बड़ा कैसे हुआ? तो सबसे पहला रिलीज वाज R1, कि जो सबसे बेसिक रिलीज था। फिर फिर उनको एसएपी को समझा रही कुछ बिजनेस रिक्वायरमेंट्स और ज्यादा है, या फिर और कुछ सिंप्लीफिकेशंस करने हैं, तो वैसे उन्होंने R2 और R3 लाया। फिर उसके बाद ECC वाज द मोस्ट ट्रांसफॉर्मेशनल रिलीज गिवन बाय एसएपी। तो अगर आपने सुना होगा कभी कि कौन सा बिजनेस सॉफ्टवेयर यूज करते हो, लोग बोलते हैं एसएपी ईसीसी 6.0। सो एसएपी ईसीसी वाज द पाथ ब्रेकिंग सॉल्यूशन विच एसएपी हैड प्रोवाइडेड। तो आज भी काफी सारे जो मल्टीनेशनल्स है, बिजनेसेस है, वो एसएपी ईसीसी यूज करते हैं। एंड S4 HANA being the latest technology, it is also g- gaining a huge traction in the market. And also the businesses which are currently on ECC, they are migrating their business to S4 HANA, क्योंकि भले वो लेटेस्ट मिल रहा है, किसको नहीं चाहिए। मतलब ये तो ऐसे, अगर अभी ऐसे हो गया कि अगर S4 हाना आने के बाद भी आप ईसीसी पे ही बोल रहे हो कि नहीं हम तो ईसीसी पे ही रहेंगे, ये तो मतलब वैसे हो जाएगा कि चलो आईफोन 14 Pro Max आ गया, फिर भी हम आईफोन 5 ही यूज करेंगे, हमको तो वही अच्छा लगता है। तो वैसा नहीं होता है। तो एसएपी विद एस क्योंकि एसएपी ईसीसी के जो सपोर्ट सपोर्ट रहता है, या फिर टेक्निकल सपोर्ट, पैचेस वगैरह, वो सब चीज जो रहता है टेक्निकल चीज, वो उसका सपोर्ट बंद हो जाएगा कुछ टाइम बाद। तो फिर इवेंचुअली एक दिन तो ऐसा आएगा कि सारे बिजनेसेस को S4 हाना पे आना ही पड़ेगा। तो द एज दे सी, द अर्लियर द बेटर। तो इंडस्ट्री के साथ या सॉफ्टवेयर के साथ ग्रो करोगे तो उसके कैपेबिलिटीज को भी पूरी तरह से यूटिलाइज कर पाएंगे। ओके। So the next part, the organizations that recruit professionals for SAP consulting. वैसे तो बहुत सारे ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस है, दिस इज जस्ट एन इलस्ट्रेटिव लिस्ट। इसके अलावा इसके अलावा भी बहुत सारे ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस है जो एसएपी कंसल्टिंग के लिए रिक्रूट करते हैं, मे बी मिड साइज ऑल्सो, सम स्मॉल ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस ऑल्सो। एंड इन एसएपी द गुड थिंग इज दैट आप फ्रीलांसिंग भी कर सकते हो रिलेटेड टू योर एरिया। बट इफ यू वांट टू वर्क इन अ कॉर्पोरेट और एज इन एन एमएनसी or say big fours, so these are some this is an illustrative list of organizations that recruit SAP consultants. So we have Accenture, Deloitte, Merck, EY, KPMG, L&T Infotech, TCS, Mindtree. So currently, in as far as SAP consulting is concerned, Accenture is currently the biggest player, followed by Deloitte, and then we have TCS and Infosys, and then the other big fours come. तो एसएपी प्रैक्टिस जो है वो एक्सेंचर का इंडिया में सबसे बड़ा है, फॉलोड बाय डेलॉयट। तो जो बोलते हैं कि इम्प्लीमेंटेशन प्रोजेक्ट्स रहे, या फिर सबसे बड़े बड़े क्लाइंट्स रहे, फॉर्चून 500 कंपनीज है, या फिर जो इंडियन कॉन्ग्लोमरेट्स है, वो इन दोनों ये दो कंपनीज के बाद सबसे ज्यादा है। एंड एज फार एज एक्सपोजर इज कंसर्न, definitely a consultant who is working in SAP FI, or say any domain or any module of SAP is going to get an global exposure. Now we are coming to domain specific capabilities, कि किसने जाना चाहिए ये डोमेन में, क्या चीजें जरूरी है, या फिर समझ लो कि what are the differentiations that you need to be an SAP consultant. Hmm. So we'll go sequentially. That is, who should go into this domain. Hmm. So the first thing, an an individual who is looking for something different, which integrates his or her business acumen. So the key focus here is business acumen and technology. Okay, and and that person is eager to contribute to a dynamic corporate environment. यहाँ पे dynamic corporate environment क्यों बोला हुआ है? Because with technology it changes day to day, so we have to adapt to change very quickly. तो इसमें क्या होता है कि यू कांट बी रिजिड, कि अगर हम एक प्रोसेस के हिसाब से चले तो हम जिंदगी भर वही चीज फॉलो करेंगे. यू कांट यू कांट कीप योर पर्सपेक्टिव लाइक दिस. यू हैव टू बी फ्लेक्सिबल, यू हैव टू थिंक क्रिएटिव, एंड यू हैव टू ऑप्ट, जो हम बोलते हैं ना कि ऑप्टिमम यूटिलाइजेशन ऑफ रिसोर्सेस. तो यहाँ पे रिसोर्स जो है वो हमारा माइंड है और हमारा टेक्निकल नॉलेज है. तो हमको हमारे टेक्निकल नॉलेज, डोमेन स्पेसिफिक नॉलेज जो है, बिजनेस का नॉलेज है, उसको ऐसे ऑप्टिमाइज करना है कि हम कम से कम कॉस्ट में सबसे ज्यादा वैल्यू एडेड सॉल्यूशंस दे पाए. हम्म, और फिर ये प्रोफाइल में कैसे होगा ना कि बिजनेस एक्यूमेन, बिजनेस प्रोसेस नॉलेज इज द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग. यहाँ पे यू वोंट फाइंड डेज वेयर यू वुड बी गोइंग एंड just like quoting almost 20-30 sections of income tax, or you would be like arguing with the professionals or the departments for regarding company law or any tax law. This is not going to happen here. What you are going to do is you are going to design the entire business environment, right from the organization structure to the end-to-end financial reporting. मतलब फॉर एग्जाम्पल समझ लो कि कोई एक मल्टीनेशनल कंपनी है, उनके अगर 10 लीगल एंटिटीज है इंडिया में, तो हर लीगल एंटिटी का ऑर्ग स्ट्रक्चर आप डिजाइन करने वाले हो. तो उसमें कंपनी का स्पेसिफिक आइडेंटिफिकेशन क्या रहेगा, वो कंपनी में मास्टर डेटा क्या रहेगा, या फिर उनके जो बिजनेस प्रोसेसेस है वो कैसे डिजाइन होंगे, उनका अकाउंटिंग साइकिल कैसे चलेगा, उनमें अगर डिजाइन करना है तो उनके बिजनेस सेगमेंट्स कैसे रहेंगे, प्रॉफिट सेंटर कैसे चलेंगे, रेवेन्यू बुकिंग और कॉस्ट बुकिंग कैसी होगी. तो ये सब प्रोसेस को आपको सिंप्लीफाई भी करना पड़ेगा, येट यू हैव टू कीप इन माइंड दैट दिस फॉलोज द एंटायर फाइनेंशियल रिपोर्टिंग फ्रेमवर्क, एंड ऑल्सो वाइल कीपिंग इन माइंड दैट that SAP is a role based software. So समझ लो कि कोई अकाउंटेंट है, तो उसको हम कितने रोल्स देंगे. उस जो हम ऑडिट में अभी तक सीखते आए हैं ना कि सेग्रीगेशन ऑफ ड्यूटीज होना चाहिए, द मेकर एंड चेकर शुड बी डिफरेंट एंड ऑल दोस थिंग्स. तो ये सब चीजें एट अ ग्रैन्युलर लेवल वी हैव टू फोकस ऑन हियर. And the next thing, the process to enter SAP consulting. So you have multiple routes to enter this. So on campus hiring is also done and off campus hirings are also there. Specifically, since I am working with Accenture, I know that for freshers, the hiring for these technology profiles like SAP consulting or say Microsoft 365 uh, consulting, it is done specifically on campus. But like big fours or some big fours and other companies also, they conduct off campus hirings also. So there is no specific one route to enter. You have multiple routes and options. So according to your need or according to the opportunity that you get, you can obviously enter this domain. And as far as lateral hirings are concerned, on campus to hote hi hai. If you go to a for example, after qualifying as a chartered, you go to a B school and go for an MBA or some other course, and from there you can be selected through campus. Or off campus hirings, you can go through like aggregator sites like naukri.com, monster, या फिर CA Monk में कोई लिस्टिंग आपको मिल गया जॉब्स पोर्टल पे, या फिर लिंक्डइन, या फिर डायरेक्टली थ्रू रेफरल्स आल्सो थ्रू योर फ्रेंड्स और कलीग्स. So for this, as I had already told, expert business process acumen should be there. कि you should have an attention to detail. कि अगर कोई भी चीज आपके सामने रखी है, कि समझो कि हमने परचेज प्रोसीजर आपके सामने रखा जिसको हम P2P साइकिल बोलते हैं, प्रोक्योर टू पे साइकिल. तो अगर ये साइकिल किसी ने आपके सामने किसी बिजनेस ने बताया कि उनके मैनेजमेंट ने कि ओके वी आर फॉलोइंग दिस प्रोसेस, आर प्रोसेस स्टार्ट फ्रॉम परचेस रिक्विजिशन, परचेस ऑर्डर, देन वी रिसीव एन इनवॉइस एंड वी डू द पेमेंट। तो ये प्रोसेस अगर उन्होंने आपको बताया तो फिर इट्स यू शुड हैव द प्रॉपर विजुअलाइजेशन कि वी शुड हैव अ प्रॉपर विजुअलाइजेशन हाउ दैट प्रोसेस वर्क। वो पूरा चार्ट आपके सामने बना हुआ आना चाहिए दिमाग में। एंड आफ्टर दैट यू शुड हैव द राइट क्वेश्चंस टू आस्क, like how, like for example, if in this process itself, what is the time difference between your goods receipt and invoice receipt, what are your credit terms, usually how long does it take for a turnaround from say from the start of purchase requisition to the entire payment process. These kind of questions should be ready in your mind, so that because on the basis of that you are going to configure the SAP system for them. Because being a part of a digital transformation team and catering to almost like many of the Fortune 500 companies, so you have to give attention to detail to make sure that all the processes that you suggest them, they follow the legal reporting framework also, and at the same time they are simplified also. And and here you should have obviously creative thinking. Yes, it is good, it is good to go by the books, but sometimes you have to find workarounds also. बेसिकली जो बोलते हैं ना कि हम इंडियन लोग जो होते हैं वो जुगाड़ में बहुत बढ़िया होते हैं, तो कभी कभी जुगाड़ भी करते हुए आना चाहिए, बट लीगल दायरे में रह के। सो you need to have your domain specific knowledge also on a satisfactory level. You need to be a creative thinker, and also a prior experience of SAP is a plus, but it is not a it is not a it is not a must. Like अगर आपको prior experience SAP में नहीं भी है, still based on your current knowledge, you will be hired. And also proper training is provided to freshers. So usually it can range from a month to 3 months of training. और ट्रेनिंग भी ऐसे मिलता है कि आपका बेसिक फाउंडेशन जो है अच्छा खासा बिल्ड हो जाएगा, and then when you will start working on the project you will gain hands-on experience, and with experience and with like steepening of your learning curve, you will gain the better understanding of the system and of SAP. And I've been working from the last almost 2.5 years, and even today there are many things, like majority of the things from SAP which I also don't know, because it is such a vast software, or see a vast area. तो बेसिकली द थिंग इज जितना आप सीखते जाते हो उतना ही आप आगे बढ़ते जाते हो। हम्म, तो इसमें द मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट थिंग इज टू कीप अ लर्निंग एटीट्यूड। सो यू इट एक्चुअली कीप्स यू ऑन योर टोज every day of your life. So every day you get to learn something new, and as a result you are never stagnated. और कभी भी ऐसा ये फीलिंग आता ही नहीं है, क्योंकि हर रोज नई चीजें सीखते हो। और जैसे ही समझ लो अभी अक्टूबर 22 में एसएपी का लेटेस्ट वर्जन रिलीज हुआ था 2022 का। अब 2023 में, अब 23 के अक्टूबर में वापस उनका अपडेट आ जाएगा एसएपी S/4HANA 2023 का। So every year SAP keeps on releasing it. So and every year there are some new inclusions, new simplifications. तो फिर वो सब चीजें जो है वो आपको सीखना पड़ता है। So what happens is you are growing with the industry, you are changing with the business environment. So basically your process knowledge increases, you get to know new things, you get to learn about multiple industries, you get to know about new technology that is being introduced in the market. And also obviously, since you would be involved in delivery projects, you would have client interactions, and also your communication would improve. You'll get a proper guidance from your leads and managers. So all these are obviously advantages which will help you evolve as a person and also as a professional. Hmm. Then the growth trajectory. So usually what happens is at Accenture, you would be specifically at Accenture, you would be hired at an analyst level. And it also basically more or less for other organizations also, it is the same thing. Some but obviously the terms can change as per the organization policy. At Accenture, they are called as analyst. So, say for example, in Deloitte, they would be called as some associates or executives. The terminologies can change, but the core work profile or the core competency required is more or less the same. Hmm. And the growth trajectory, as they say that the sky is the limit, but here, if you are evolving with technology, not even sky is the limit, you can go beyond the sky. Hmm. तो बेसिकली ग्राउंड लेवल से काम करते हुए आप कंपनी के लीडरशिप तक भी जा सकते हो. So obviously, depending on your performance, your exposure, and all those other non-financial considerations also. Hmm. So basically, the growth trajectory is more or less similar to other profiles. So यहाँ पे stagnancy का कोई question आता ही नहीं है because of the dynamic environment that I have told you about. Hmm. And the next thing is about the key skills needed. So point number one, business knowledge, like how a business works or how the industry works or how the audit cycle works, how the accounting cycle works, operating cycle क्या होता है. ये सारी जो टर्मिनोलॉजीज है, कॉन्सेप्चुअल नॉलेज जो है वो एब्सोल्युटली क्लियर होना चाहिए. And the next thing is ability to transform client requirements into quality solutions. Basically इसका सिंपल भाषा में क्या है, क्लाइंट ने अगर आपको एक चीज पूछी तो आपको वो चीज का परफेक्ट जवाब देते आना चाहिए. क्लाइंट आपको अगर कुछ एब्सर्ड चीजें भी बताए कि अगर जिसमें जिसमें कि कुछ कॉम्प्लिकेशंस हो सकते हैं, तो यू शुड बेस्ड ऑन योर एनालिटिकल थिंकिंग एंड योर क्रिएटिव माइंडसेट, you should be able to transform it into a standardized process which would be followed organization wide. तो हम जो बोलते हैं ना कि ऑडिट में हम लोग सीखते आए हैं कि अंडरस्टैंडिंग अबाउट द क्लाइंट्स बिजनेस एंड देयर नॉलेज, तो वही चीज आपको यहाँ पे भी अप्लाई करनी पड़ेगी क्योंकि जब तक आपको बिजनेस समझ में नहीं आएगा आप क्लाइंट को सॉल्यूशंस दे ही नहीं सकते हो. ओके. And the next thing is good communication and presentation skills, because you would be involved in delivery projects. You would have connects and communications with the technology leads from the client side, sometimes the senior management also, and senior management also ranging right from the finance team and their business team to the it can go up to CFO also, based on your exposure, your responsibilities within your project team. So obviously, good communication and presentation skills are required, and your proficiency with technology and familiarity to the ERP environment. So proficiency with technology would simply mean that you should be eager to learn about the technology, because as chartered accountants, we have to accept the fact that हमारा टेक्नोलॉजी के तरफ एक्सपोजर इज नॉट सो ग्रेट, and in fact it is very much limited. Even if people are working with big fours as articles, you would have seen SAP, you would have seen Oracle, but what we see is just see it as an end users. हमारा काम उधर सिर्फ रिपोर्ट्स एक्सट्रैक्ट करना या फिर स्क्रीन्स नेविगेट करना होता है. हम लोग वहां के उसमें कभी भी डिटेल में जाके कभी देखा नहीं है हमने. तो we don't exactly know how things work. So we should be have an open mind, and we should have the what we see the basic we should have a basic knowledge of how the thing works, and we should be ready to learn about the intricacies of it. So basically these are the four pillars that you have to keep in your mind. अगर ये चार चीजें दिमाग में क्लियर है तो देन you should definitely be able to ace the interview. Then the scope of work for an SAP finance and controlling consultant. तो यहाँ पे I will first explain what SAP finance and controlling is. तो SAP में क्या है ना, since it is an ERP, there are multiple modules. So module is basically a business function which is separated from each other. But since it is a part of an ERP, it comes together in a clubbed environment. तो फाइनेंस एंड कंट्रोलिंग में फाइनेंस इज बेसिकली योर बिजनेस एंड अकाउंटिंग, एंड कंट्रोलिंग इज बेसिकली योर मैनेजमेंट अकाउंटिंग. तो फाइनेंस को फाइनेंशियल अकाउंटिंग समझो, कंट्रोलिंग को मैनेजमेंट अकाउंटिंग। या फिर अगर अपने भाषा में समझना है, फाइनेंस इज अपना अकाउंटिंग एंड एफआर, कंट्रोलिंग इज एससीएमपीई मतलब कॉस्टिंग। अगर थंब रूल के लिए इतना भी याद रखा तो भी यू वुड गेट अ बेसिक आइडिया ऑफ व्हाट एग्जैक्टली इट इज। तो as I've said, SAP Finance consists of various subparts. Like the general finance, it starts from accounting process. That is, we cover all the cycles there: the purchase cycle, sales cycle. So technologically, or the technical term for it is P2P cycle: procure to pay cycle, order to cash cycle, record to report cycle, and acquire to retire. So P2P is for purchase cycle, O2C is for sales, R2R is for normal accounting, and acquire to retire is for the fixed asset or the property plant equipment cycle. And the controlling covers the entire management accounting. That is, your standard costing is covered, your standard costing and variance analysis, your basically the costing sheet is entire costing sheet is covered, like right from raw material costing to the entire last step of deciding on a sales price. And also your cost ledger accounting, allocation of overheads, cost center accounting, profit center accounting, everything is controlled under controlling. तो बेसिकली हम लोग जो कॉस्ट शीट सीखे ना, डायरेक्ट मटेरियल प्लस डायरेक्ट लेबर इज इक्वल टू प्राइम कॉस्ट, देन एड फैक्ट्री ओवरहेड्स, यू गेट ग्रॉस फैक्ट्री कॉस्ट, ये जो पूरी कॉस्टिंग शीट सीखे हैं हम, so that comes under this, and this that you would be actually applying it in business environment. For example, जो हम like in CA final in our SCMPE paper, we have a chapter called as divisional transfer pricing, right? So in that we have we have to set a divisional transfer price and international transfer price also. I have actually implemented that process in an SAP environment. So these kind of business scenarios you would be designing and implementing in the client system. And the third part here is financial supply chain management. That is basically everything related to money. That is money market instruments, forex, derivatives, your portfolio, risk management, letter of credit, bank guarantees, your payment terms, discounting, all these things. Everything is covered under financial supply chain management. And the next part is business planning and consolidation. And so here the consolidation also includes, that is, group reporting. So basically for now consider it as consolidation only. तो यहाँ पे you would be designing an entire consolidation process for a group, say for a conglomerate. समझ लो कि आपके पास your client is Tata Group, that is Tata Sons Limited. Like they have multiple legal entities, and every of their legal entity is consolidated into Tata Sons Limited. So for that, you would be designing a business process. You would be setting a configuration there. You would be setting up their master data, and by say running some programs and running some transaction codes, your entire consolidated balance sheet would be executed. So this also includes setting up logics for calculating your non-controlling interest, and setting up logics for deciding whether the consolidation is necessary or not, or what method of consolidation to be followed, whether that legal entity is an SPV, associate, joint venture, joint arrangement, or a subsidiary. So all these considerations or all these scenarios are covered under business planning and consolidation. And the last thing here is flexible real estate management. So real estate management also includes contract management, and this is specifically implementation of IFRS 16. That is हमारे भाषा में Ind AS 116. So this flexible real estate management is also a part of SAP Finance only. So the same thing which I have explained here. So the general finance covers submodules like accounts payables, receivable, general ledger, asset, and tax. Controlling covers the entire internal reporting. So For example, planning and tracking of overheads cost, performing of activity based costing and variance analysis. And financial supply chain covers treasury, risk management, credit management, cash management, and capital budgeting and all those things. BPC, that is business planning consolidation, covers for planning, budgeting, forecasting, and reporting, and also your business combination and consolidation. Flexible real estate management is nothing but IFRS 16 implementation. Hmm. Then the next thing we come to is the scope of work for an SAP consultant. See, what are the profile would be for SAP consulting, and within SAP consulting, where are the areas that you can work? You can work. Hmm. So there are broadly 4 to 5 areas. So you can either work entirely in one of the 5 areas, or you can work into multiple areas also, depending on the type of project and your entire the timeline that you are associated in this role. So basically ऐसा नहीं है कि अगर कोई एक चीज में गए तो उसी चीज में जिंदगी भर काम करना पड़ेगा. You can get multiple exposure for multiple sub roles also. Hmm. The first thing here is implementation. This is basically the most cream or most sought after role, that sub role that is into SAP consulting, because this involves like deployment of SAP landscape for the very first time in any business organizations, or building an ERP environment from scratch. Because अगर आपने कभी SAP consulting के लिए प्रोफाइल्स या फिर जॉब वेकेंसीज भी देखी होगी, उसमें आपने को एक सेंटेंस पढ़ा होगा कि शुड हैव एन एक्सपीरियंस ऑफ एटलीस्ट 2 E2E implementation cycles. तो E2E मतलब एंड टू एंड. सो दिस इज द मोस्ट सॉट आफ्टर रोल. तो यहाँ पे होता क्या है कि समझ लो कोई बिजनेस है, दे आर यूजिंग ओरेकल, या फिर कोई एक कंपनी है जो टैली टैली में काम कर रहा है, बट अभी उनका बिजनेस इतना बड़ा हो गया कि दे वांट टू इंटीग्रेट इट इनटू एन ईआरपी एंड दे आर डिप्लॉइंग एसएपी. सो दिस इज द काइंड ऑफ रोल दैट deploys ERP for the first time. So in the SAP community, this fresh implementation is called as a greenfield project. So also I would suggest that these are some technical terms. So if it would be better if you can note these down, because knowing these terms are very very important. बिकॉज नहीं तो अगर आप ये रोल में गए तो फिर आपको एनीवेज ये टर्म्स सुनने को मिलेंगे, ओवर टाइम यू विल लर्न. बट द थिंग इज, अगर ये सुने हुए हो तो यू वुड एटलीस्ट वोंट फील आउट ऑफ प्लेस व्हेन दीज टर्म्स आर स्पोकन इन फ्रंट ऑफ यू. So implementation is for very first time in SAP, and in technical terms it is called as a greenfield project. Then the second one comes towards conversion, migration, or upgrade. So these are basically used interchangeably in the SAP world. These are used in common parlance together. So this involves like conversion of an existing ECC system into S4 HANA, or upgrading an old version of S4 HANA into the latest S4 HANA version. तो जैसे मैंने पहले बोला था कि SAP, many of the clients are still using, or many of the businesses are still using SAP ECC, and with SAP S4 HANA being the latest one, so they also with S4 HANA, SAP provides many of simplifications, optimizations, quicker processing, new applications, and all those things. So SAP S4 HANA actually provides a very good or a very significant advantage over ECC in terms of business administration. So a project which is used to like convert the existing ECC system to S4 HANA is included here, or upgrading an old version of S4 HANA. समझ लो कि किसी क्लाइंट ने 2017 में किया होगा, 17 या फिर 2018 में फर्स्ट टाइम उन्होंने SAP S4 HANA implement किया है. So they might be using the version 1709, that is 1709 version, SAP S4 HANA 1709. But now in 2022, 2022 is the latest one. So also with version on version, there are improvements, incremental redesignings done. So there might be a business decision where they say that, okay, the latest version would be suitable for us because it would, like, it would decrease our cost, or it would help in processing our business, or it would be helping in administrating our business better. So that kind of upgrade is also involved here. So this conversion project or a migration project in technical terms is called as a brownfield project. Hmm. So here the entire data migration is also done, like right from master data, configuration, transaction data, the entire migration is done from your ECC system to S/4HANA latest, that is the target version. We call the system where the client wants to implement as target version, and the original system from which the migration is done is called as a source system. Hmm. Then the third role here is asset building and innovation. So this actually involves using standardized SAP solutions to create a value add, or creating a customized or enhanced solution, or a business scenario using SAP itself as a package, and also packaging it as a product and pitching it to the client, or selling it to the client as a product, or using it as a base version for something else. For example, if there is a client who wants to implement taxation for United States, that is the US withholding tax, basically उनके यहाँ का TDS. तो हम क्या कर सकते हैं कि we can create a test configuration, or we can create an actual configuration which represents the business environment, and we can package it as a product, and we can sell it directly to the client as a product. So that packaging of a product is called as a configuration set, and in SAP terms we called it as a business configuration set. तो हम वो कॉन्फ़िगरेशन सेट बना के सीधा क्लाइंट को समझ लो कि हमने उसको उसका प्राइसिंग सेट किया है $10,000 का, तो हम वो सिनारियो क्लाइंट को $10,000 में बेच सकते हैं, जो कि वो उनके सिस्टम में डायरेक्टली एक्टिवेट कर देंगे. एंड व्हाट द एडिशनल एफर्ट दैट वुड बी नीडेड फॉर देम इज टू जस्ट रिप्लेस द नॉर्मल बिजनेस और द टेस्ट डेटा विद देयर ओन बिजनेस का डेटा. क्योंकि अगर हमको कॉन्फ़िगरेशन बनाना है तो हम कोई एक स्पेसिफिक कंपनी के लिए बना देंगे एज अ टेस्ट डेटा, तो हम वहाँ पे टेस्ट कंपनी या फिर वैसा कुछ लिख देंगे ना. तो समझ लो कि कोई यूएस की कंपनी हो, तो वो वहाँ पे अपना मास्टर डेटा रिप्लेस कर देंगे. एंड फॉर दैट ऑल्सो टेक्नोलॉजी इज देयर, टेम्पलेट्स आर देयर विच कैन बी डायरेक्टली इम्पोर्टेड इनटू एसएपी. तो डायरेक्टली जाके मतलब मैनुअल काम करने की बिल्कुल ज़रूरत नहीं है. सो दीज काइंड ऑफ solutions are also available. Then the fourth thing is assessment and transformation roadmap. So this involves like the analysis of the client's current SAP landscape with respect to the readiness for conversion or upgrade. And what we do there is we analyze the change impact analysis in their business processes. And this is done for cross module. So we being as finance, specifically from the finance background, we get in this scenario, we get to work in multiple areas. Like जैसे, like for example, I am a chartered accountant and I am working as a SAP finance consultant, and I have also done some assessment projects here. So वो काम करते हुए मैंने फाइनेंस का भी मॉड्यूल में काम किया है, कंट्रोलिंग में भी किया है, और सेल्स एंड डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन में भी किया है मैंने. एंड आई हैव डन फॉर प्रोक्योरमेंट, प्रोडक्शन प्लानिंग, some industry specific functions also. So what you get here is cross module exposure. So you are not restricted to your finance background. You get to see the other modules also. So this is basically a prerequisite step for a conversion project. So this is a prerequisite. This is basically, you can call it as a pre-sales activity. This is a pre-delivery activity. And the last sub role here is client support and management. So it usually involves supporting the client on issues encountered in daily business operations, carrying out issue resolutions, period and closing tasks, and acting as a catalyst for change management. For example, the client is on ECC and they are now converting to SAP S4 HANA. So you as an SAP consultant would be already well versed with SAP S4 HANA. So you have to help the client there uh, to to execute their daily business activities in the new SAP environment there, or the new SAP version. So this involves helping in month end closing, like year end closing, preparing for management reports, and like solving some routine issues, or doing some configurations, or helping in the redesigning of business process. So these are basically the broad areas. So your work profile won't be restricted specifically to this. It may involve, or may be limited, or maybe more than this, depending on your exposure, depending on what your manager or what the project is expecting from you. But more or less, these are the 5 areas where everything would be covered in. So now, how would a project work? So what happens is, in any organization, the project is usually divided into phases. And so and because you would hear this terminology of a lot if you get into this field, that you will hear a terminology called as agile method. So basically, agile method simply means following a phased approach. Hmm. Just keep in mind, for more, basically when you get into this profile, you would be given training on that also, like how does a project work. But here I'll just provide you a high level overview. So these are basically the phases of the project, which would start from requirement gathering, like what the client wants. What is the client's as is process, that is how are they executing their business transactions and the entire business right now in their current system. Then on the basis of your requirement gathering and your agreement with the client of what is decided to be delivered, you would be preparing the project plan. This would include the basically your project plan, understand planning workshops, what what is their client's expectation of how the things should go, you preparing for timelines, gathering of resources, and all those things. This is the part of project planning and preparation. Then the next phase is called as design phase. So here you would be setting up the business process design entirely for that organization. And for every business process, you would be setting up the design, you would be presenting it to the client. Then at the next step, as a part of build phase, so once you and the client are on the same page, on the same wavelength, then you would be implementing or configuring the same design into the SAP environment. Hmm. and then here you would here you would be testing also for the sanity. That is, if any of you remembers EISSM or ITSM from the old course, you would have heard a term called as unit testing. Hmm. So if you have heard the term called as unit testing, you would be performing unit testing here. Unit testing or system integration testing, you would be performing it here. So basically उसमें होता क्या है, आपने जो भी कॉन्फ़िगरेशन किया हुआ है, तो आप उसको खुद टेस्ट करके देखते हो कि ये whether is it working perfectly or not. And once it is working perfectly, then the next phase is called as user acceptance testing. तो मतलब आपने जो टेस्ट किया, अगर आप सेटिस्फाइड हो गए कि हाँ ठीक है, चलो हमने एक एक ट्रांजैक्शन टेस्ट करके देखा वो काम कर रहा है, तो वील गिव द सिनारियोस टू द क्लाइंट कि आप अपने एंड से ट्राई करके देखो फॉर ईच एंड एवरी ट्रांजैक्शन, फॉर ईच एंड एवरी बिजनेस प्रोसेस, कि आप टेस्ट करके देखो विथ ऑल द परम्यूटेशन कॉम्बिनेशंस दैट यू कैन थिंक ऑफ. आप टेस्ट करके देखो एंड हियर यू गेट द गो और नो गो डिसीजन. सो द बेसिक क्राइटेरिया हियर इज, अगर क्लाइंट को यहाँ पे यूएटी में कुछ गड़बड़ लग रही है, कि okay, for example, these XYZ scenarios are not working. So what you will do, you will again go to the previous phase. You will check for the errors, what is the error there, why is it not working. You will rebuild it, do the unit testing and system integration testing, and give it again for UAT to the client. And once the client gives a go ahead that okay, so these things are fine from our end, so then they will give a go decision. And usually, in as far as Accenture is concerned, whether getting a go or no go decision depends on the accuracy of the user acceptance testing. In Accenture, we follow the accuracy of 95%. So basically, if 95% of our scenarios are working, the client gives a go decision, and the remaining 5% they are fixed over time. Then if we get a go decision from the client कि चलो कि हमारे एंड से भी सब कुछ सही हो रहा है, तो आप लेटेस्ट सिस्टम में पूरे आप सब कुछ इम्प्लीमेंट करके हमारा हमारा जो प्रोडक्शन सिस्टम है, जो बिजनेस एज यूजुअल सिस्टम है, उसको BAU लैंडस्केप, वी कॉल इट एज BAU लैंडस्केप. So basically the system where all the business transactions would be taking place. So if that is fine, then you set up the entire BAU landscape over a cutover period. So what we do is we usually have a specific timeline there. For example, we have 60 hours of 60 hours set. तो वो 60 hours में हम पूरे client के transactions, data migration, configuration सब कुछ setup कर देते हैं, and we hand over the system to the client, and we activate the system for all the users worldwide. And once the activation is done, that is called as go live. That means go live matlab kya ki the system is active and all the stakeholders, all the users are free to use the system as per their roles, and you can execute business transactions. And the last step is post go live support. So after go live also there may be some doubts which the client may have, or there may be some errors which may crop up. So that time your responsibility is also to provide the support. So this support is the same thing which we have discussed here in the last point, client support and management. So this is the support that you would be providing to the client. So this is exactly how a project works on an overview level. And in each phase also there are multiple activities, like the planning is done literally from on a day-to-day basis, also day-to-day hour-to-hour basis. So there is a very high level of attention to detail given, which obviously you would come across if you get into this role. And as far as interview perspective is concerned, you are not expected to know the entire process in detail. If you have an overview of how the project works or how a project should work, that is pretty much it for you. Then the next thing, why this profile? Like we look at the present and future. So if you are using SAP, or basically if you are getting into ERP, you are actually getting into a habit where you would be providing a proactive response to the changing business environment, because the technology is changing. So with technology, if you're working in that field, you would have to learn and grow with that. So that is basically you are the first you would be the first change makers there. So you would be getting into the technology and learning it on a day-to-day basis, and obviously with experience you would get a good hands-on on it. And the next, SAP is definitely a market leader in the ERP landscape, and for more years to come, SAP is going to grow a lot, and there is currently and also in future there would be a high demand for skilled and competent professionals, at least from the functional background, because not many chartered accountants or CMAs for that matter enter this profile, pretty much due to a lack of awareness, or say lack of awareness and keeping a incorrect perspective that okay, this is completely technical, यहाँ पे जाके तो सिर्फ coding करना पड़ेगा. This is basically a wrong notion or wrong preconceived notion that they are keeping. which is causing a lack of awareness. Again, SAP or ERP consulting is still a growing industry. It is very much far from its peak. So since it is a growing industry, so why not get into this industry and gain a first movers advantage above others? So basically बोलते हैं ना कि मेक योर ओन रोड, या फिर अपना रास्ता खुद बनाओ। जब तक लोग आपके रास्ते पे पहुंचेंगे, आप उस इंडस्ट्री के ऑलरेडी राजा बन चुके होंगे। सो गेन अ फर्स्ट मूवर्स एडवांटेज, एंड जब तक बाकी पीपल विल गेट देयर एक्सपर्टीज, यू विल ऑलरेडी बी एन एक्सपर्ट देयर। And obviously SAP has global reach and exposure, because there are multiple MNCs that you would be catering to. So you would be you will be exposed to multiple industries, multiple countries, requirements of multiple cultures, and all those things. So obviously it would help in evolving your business acumen and your perspective about business too. And this is the most basic thing, that there is a need of highly competent functional professionals with a good hold or good grasping of technology. So if you have these two things, obviously, if you have qualified as a chartered accountant, your functional knowledge, your domain knowledge, or your knowledge about finance and business is on a very good level. So if you just improve a little bit on technology, or if you just have a good hold on how technology works, you would be the perfect fit for this. And you would get an exposure to top level management of MNCs and conglomerates as a result of this being a client facing job. So obviously, like say that you are a 23-24-year-old young professional, and you would be presenting your deliverables to the senior management there, who would be having an experience of 20 to 25 years. So how it is a great opportunity to like learn from, just observe and learn from the leaders or the market leaders there. तो इट इज बेसिकली अ वेरी गुड पर्क कि जितना हमारा एज है उतना तो उनका एक्सपीरियंस है। सो उनके एक्सपीरियंस से हम अगर सीख पाए, सो दैट इज अ वेरी गुड पॉइंट फॉर अस, एंड इट वुड actually steepen a learning curve a lot. And also SAP, in this environment, you would there is constant innovation which keeps the consultant on the toes, and it would upskill and it will help you grow with the industry. So basically, the in one liner, if I have to say, you would never get stagnated here. And also, again, another materialistic perk here, that you would get to visit on site. समझो कि then obviously, so who doesn't want to go on site कि चलो हम प्रोजेक्ट के लिए जा रहे हैं, इस साल हम नेदरलैंड्स जा रहे हैं, अगले साल यूएस जा रहे हैं, फिर उसके बाद जर्मनी जा रहे हैं। So you would get an opportunity to go abroad also, depending on, obviously depending on your scope of work, and the and your exposure and all those things. So on site as well as off site opportunities are there. And the last thing, which I have mentioned before also, that not many CAs enter this field. So once you enter, you have the first movers advantage, and you can grow faster than others. And this, जिसके लिए सब लोग रुके थे, भाई ये सब तो बता दिया, बताओ पैसा कितना मिलेगा। So the compensation offered, it ranges averagely from 9 lakh per annum to 12 lakh per annum. This is the existing package that is offered. But just keep in mind that don't don't exactly go on the package here कि there might be people who would argue that अरे कि ये कंसल्टिंग, नॉर्मल फाइनेंशियल कंसल्टिंग के लिए या फिर कोई और प्रोफाइल के लिए तो हमको हमको मिल रहा है, हमको कोई कंपनी 14 लाख 15 लाख दे रही है, तो हम लोग यहाँ पे 11 लाख में 10 लाख में क्यों काम करें एसएपी में। सो दिस इज so I would just suggest that it is better to start humble and grow steadily, rather than start high and then work in an profile, or a work in a basically an area which is dying a slow and painful death. So it is so, and here the growth is very good. And also the switching opportunities are also there. So it actually helps you a lot. So this is basic. And if you show your capabilities and if you show your hunger there, your your increment or appraisals are going to happen very quickly. So trust me on that. And also, as far as, and also other non-financial considerations like your proper your business exposure, like dealing with people, or say work-life balance, these are also pretty much taken care of in this profile. So this is so on an overall basis, this is actually a very good profile to work for. Mm. And if you have, and basically if you get an opportunity to work in this profile, I definitely suggest you to get into this profile and at least take some experience. And as far as future prospects also, all the organizations which I had mentioned before also offers the like company sponsored certifications there for SAP. For example, I am certified in SAP S/4HANA Finance. So that was an Accenture sponsored initiative. So like on regular intervals, the company nominates you, or you yourself can volunteer in front of your leads to like request them to help you with the certifications and all those things. So you would be gaining an post qualification certification also. And also then getting ready for interview questions. This is an illustrative list of what exactly can be asked. So this is not everything, but these are some things that you should keep in your mind, or at least have the conceptual clarity. Like I had mentioned, business process cycles are IFRS 1516, accrual deferral, the organization structure set up for companies, concept about segregation of duties, and like what a access control mechanism is. So people who have learned ITSM would know this, that rule based access control and role based access control. So get a overview of it. Like new technology trends in the business environment, enabling of artificial intelligence with business, these things. Then like cut over activities and period and closing procedures, cost, like your cost sheet and structure of cost sheet, and background of any ERP system, or background of how a system works, and obviously a forex and treasury concept. So if you basically if you have a conceptual clarity of these things, you're at least nothing on a very conservative level, your 70% of your interview questions would be covered here. And also also subject to some other differentiating factors which you have mentioned in your resume. So that also you'll have to take care of it. And then I've also mentioned some links here. So I'll try to get these links percolated to you through Shivam, that if we can share these links and these documents with all the people here, you will get a video lectures of introduction to SAP also, and also the PDF of what SAP exactly provides. Yes, so I'm stopping my screen share right now. Yeah. Yes, so that was basically from my side about an overview of this SAP as a profile.
Great, great, great. I think very detailed. I think पुष्कर आपने बहुत डिटेल में बताया regarding this profile. Now we'll open the forum for doubts, right? जिसको doubts है, I'll request you to put the doubts in a chat box for a minute. फटाफट we'll cover those doubts out, right? Pushkar, someone is asking any link with SAP and Python.
See, basically what happens is Python is used as an external resource to like put an interface or set up a tool with SAP. So so what happens is there can be any link, but it is not a must to know Python for it. Because the
Okay.
thing is, while if you are working in an SAP as a SAP consultant, you won't be programming anything, or you won't be setting up anything in Python for that. You would be predominantly working into SAP only. SAP, and the integration would be primarily either with Power BI or Excel. Or if you are into tech as management consulting with SAP, then specifically some other tools like Blackline or TableU.
Got it, got it, got it. Someone is also asking that will the roles will be same if I go to Oracle or the Dynamics 365?
Yes, see, basically the roles may be called differently, but the core responsibilities that I had outlined, like all those things like requirement gathering, implementation, setting up business processes, that the core responsibilities would be similar, because because what happens in ERP is the entire business process as a whole is not going to change. The things that are going to change are basically some software specific things or some intricacies here and there. So once you get a training on that, it would definitely help you, and you would be well accustomed to that. But on an overall level, it won't matter much.
Got it, got it. Someone is asking about work-life balance and work from home opportunities in this role.
See, like I can primarily talk about Accenture. As far as work-life balance is concerned, it is absolutely great. So definitely you'd actually find it surprising कि अरे ये बंदा कॉर्पोरेट में काम कर रहा है, फिर भी ये काम के मामले में रो क्यों नहीं रहा है, कि ऐसा क्यों नहीं बोल रहा है हमको 12 घंटे 14 घंटे रगड़ा करते हैं करके. सो बेसिकली द थिंग इज कि यहाँ पे वर्क लाइफ बैलेंस इज वेरी गुड. द क्वालिटी ऑफ वर्क इज देयर. Obviously there would be some days, or there would be some period where you would be working for longer hours. You would be working for almost 14 to 16 hours sometimes, but those days are very limited. मतलब हमारे टैक्स ऑडिट सीजन जैसा नहीं है कि जो एक बार 25 सितंबर को ऑफिस में गए तो सीधा 1 अक्टूबर को ही वापस आएंगे हम. वैसा नहीं होता है. And as far as work from home opportunities are concerned, that yes, obviously some companies provide work from home opportunities, remote opportunities are there, but most of the organizations now are following hybrid culture.
Got it, got it, got it, got it, got it. ठीक है. A lot of companies are offering multiple roles like Microsoft, Oracle, Workday, right? SAP. Which one to choose?
If you consider just from a market leader or a future prospects, and like if you are ready to invest time on it, then I would suggest you to choose SAP, because SAP is the future. Simple a simple fact there. SAP is the future, so you can choose SAP. But even if you go into Oracle or Microsoft 365, there also the exposure is pretty decent. And if you want to say that if you want to switch somewhere in the future, so on the basis of that functional knowledge, you can get into SAP also. But just the additional effort that you would have to put in there is to get some formal SAP training or some formal SAP certification.
Got it, got it, got it. One student is worried about ki, do I need to have a SAP knowledge if I want to get into SAP domain? I think I've already covered,
No,
but just a brief.
Yeah, see, to having an SAP specific knowledge is very good, but even if you don't have SAP exposure, no problems with that. Like I'll give you our example. Like I was selected through the March 2020 campus, like just before COVID hit. So I was in Pune campus, and like 10 people were selected from there at Accenture for this same profile. So out of those 10 people, only 2 people had prior SAP exposure. Rest 8 people didn't even see SAP, hadn't even seen what SAP screens look like. And still, even today, they all are working at Accenture, and they are working pretty well. They all are doing great. And so it is not necessary to have a prior SAP exposure, but if you have it, definitely it is a plus for you.
Got it, got it, got it, got it. Growth and remuneration, I think we've already covered it out. SAP certification courses the companies are going to be covering. Okay, 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 okay. Off campus, you can apply through LinkedIn. I think that is not a problem. Last
Yes.
question, what are the exit options?
See, the exit options are like you can definitely go into any profile that you want. Like there are no like such a restricted options. Like for example, I had a senior who was working with Accenture in the REFX module, that is the real estate management here. She had worked for almost 2 years here, and after that she switched to private equity.
Oh,
So
great.
like you can see the spectrum here, like first technology consulting and then switching to private equity or say something like that. The spectrum is pretty much wide. So the basic thing is like if you have the capability and if you are showing that you are the right person for the job, there is nothing that is going to stop you from switching into your domain of choice. As they say, no, there is never a shortage of jobs for the right candidate. Instead of focusing on whether the exit opportunities would be good or whether we can go from this to that, what we can do is we can just focus on ourselves, on making ourselves as the right candidate, so that so that we can get what we want. So basically our choice is catered to there. जैसे बाबा रणछोड़ दास कहते थे ना, काबिल बनो बेटा काबिल, कामयाबी झक मार के तुम्हारे पीछे आएगी. This is 100% facts.
Got it, got it, got it, got it. SAP के लिए कोई specific resume नहीं, मतलब mostly your articleship journey is gonna be seen and your interest towards technology scene, right, Pushkar? If I'm not wrong.
Yes, yes.
Got it.
Your interest towards technology and basically what trends are going on in the technology environment, or how business and technology are integrated together. That thing you can get an overview of, and you can share your experience, or you can share your opinion with the interviewer there. And on based on that, your acumen is judged, and they can take a decision on whether you'll be a right fit or not.
Got it, got it, got it, got it. Great. I think we have covered almost every questions out. If still any questions are remaining, the people those are watching on YouTube live and also going to be watching on the session, you can put it over a comment section, right? We'll be trying to cover all these questions from there itself, right? And really thank you to Pushkar for covering everything in detail out. And in fact, I was enjoying that presentation also, right? So I would request all of you to please, once again, before we conclude this session, to please turn on the videos. Those who have connected for this session out, to turn on the videos, and time to thank our mentor by giving a round of applause, please. Right? Request all of you to please unmute yourself, right? And जोरदार तालियों के साथ thank you बोलेंगे, right? Thanks, really thank you. We'll share the feedback
Thank
about
you,
the
sir.
session.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
It was a
sir.
Very
great session.
informative.
Hello, great. I think the session was very detailed and informative. The people, those who are from YouTube or those who are connected from Zoom, if you still have any questions or queries, you can put it over the YouTube comment section. We'll be happy to cover the same. Thanks once again, Pushkar, for joining in.
Yes, thank you for the opportunity. Yeah,
Anytime. Yes. Thanks. Bye-bye. All the best,
Bye.
everyone, for your interviews. And I hope you'll clear it out and you'll give a party to Pushkar and me. Chalo. Great.